First of all, I think we have to do far more than we've been doing in defending our legal rights. I want to share with you an observation about UN Security Council Resolution 242. You all, I'm sure, recall that Resolution 242, as I said earlier, did not call for Israel to withdraw from all the territories it captured in 1967. 242 was the basis of every one of our peace treaties with Egypt. It was the basis of the Madrid Invitation. It was the basis of the Oslo agreements. It was the basis of our peace treaty with Jordan. Of course, at different times it was interpreted differently by both sides, but we had a fundamental agreed basis that we've used. And it always served as a protection for Israel from being forced to the 67 lines should Israel not want to be forced to the 67 lines, which is the case today. A second element, of course, is something Danny Ayalon knows full well, which is the famous letter written on April 14, 2004 by President Bush to Prime Minister Sharon, talking about Israel's right to defensible borders, talking about retaining the settlement blocks. That letter, it is the custom in the United States for letters of that sort to be passed from one administration to the next, particularly since that letter of April 2004 was supported by both houses of the U.S. Congress in June, by the House of Representatives and by the Senate. And by the way, Senator Hillary Clinton supported it, and Representative Rahm Emanuel supported it. Today, unfortunately, the administration is not talking about that letter. I don't even want to call it the Bush letter. It's the bipartisan letter. And I think we should be doing much more to defend our legal rights, because if those legal rights are eroded, where are we going to be? The second issue, of course, has to do with historical rights. When delegations of U.S. senators or members of the British House of Commons come here, they should see the sites they've seen. They should go to Yad Vashem. They should go to the Knesset. And they should also go to Ir David. Because unless we defend our historical rights, no one is going to defend them for us. Finally, on the issue, and I'll close with this, the issue of the attempt to describe Israel as an international criminal, or Tzahal as a criminal army. It's true, back on November 5th, I was in Waltham, Massachusetts at Brandeis University, and I debated Justice Richard Goldstone. But that was basically a defensive action. I took every assertion he said, and I put on a PowerPoint photographic proof that it was completely wrong. And it was a persuasive argument, but that's only half of what has to be done. We must far more aggressively pursue those who are supporting terrorism against the State of Israel using all of the instruments of international law. It is true that present international law is limited in counterinsurgency warfare. It was a lot of the laws of war were invented when armies clashed with each other in the fields of Europe. But still, the problem we faced with Justice Goldstone was not that international law needs to be updated. The problem we faced with Goldstone was that it was totally misapplied. And to begin to remedy the kind of situation Israel's facing, we must encourage countries with sympathetic legal authorities to take measures against Hamas. Already in the United States, there are lawsuits against the Islamic Republic of Iran by victims of terrorism, by American victims of terrorism who are seeking judgments. That kind of activity must be encouraged, and we must put from the courtroom, we must take the message to the world press that these are the true criminals violating international law, and the State of Israel is simply trying to defend itself. I believe if we carefully defend our legal and diplomatic rights, I believe if we reassert our historical rights, and finally if we clarify to the world who are the criminal aggressors against innocent civilians and who are the victims of aggression, I believe we can turn the delegitimization campaign around. But we have to identify the problem correctly, and we have to assert ourselves like we've never asserted ourselves before. Thank you.